Welcome to a new episode of Outside the Panels with your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes.
Welcome everyone to an episode of Outside the Panels. I am your host, Johnny the Machine Hughes, and if by now you know one thing, well, two things about me. It's one, I love the Miami Dolphins, and two, I love me an indie project. This time around, I've got not one but two guests to talk about their project, which is coming to fruition in the next week or so. It is a tale of horror. What better time to have it than Halloween-ish? It is the fantastic Mr. David M. Bauer and Drew Zucker. David, Drew, how's it going?
Hello, it's
Huzzah!
going good.
Hello, we're
We're
thrilled to be cogs in Johnny the Machine's show.
Trust me, I'm the cog. you guys are
You're talking-
you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Off camera, we were all. Yeah, ask us one question. We'll talk for 30 minutes. And Johnny,
Yeah.
of course, now I'm redundant. What's going on here?
So take it away, guys. I'm joking.
We freeze.
Right. yeah.
Oh no, I have nothing to talk about.
Oh no, I seem to be buffering. What's going on? Right. Okay. So we're here to talk about your project. It's about at the time of recording, you're 9 days away from completion, and this is what it is. It is The Feeding. Now, I have read the book, and I have to say I absolutely loved it. There are a couple of influences in there that kind of jump to life, and I kind of think, So I'm interested to talk about a couple of those going forward. But let's start at the top and work our way down. You guys have worked together previously, correct?
Yes.
How
We
did you
try.
guys-
We try to.
Yeah.
On one or two issues of a comic.
Oh yeah, cool. So David, tell me, how did you two get together? How did you end up in the same stratosphere?
So Drew and I, for folks who don't know, Drew and I have co-created a comic called Canto, which is an all-ages fairy tale. It came out from IDW in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
We are still going with it. It's 23 issues in, 4 collected volumes right now. And we'll talk about it a little bit later in the show that we just had some news come out last week that Canto is renewed from Dark Horse for a license for many years to come. So we're going to get new hardcover reprints and brand new single issues and material. So Drew and I have been working together closely on a daily basis for about 5 years now, 6 years probably. And it's been mostly Canto. So what we wanted to do, we're both big horror hounds. We love horror movies. We love horror comics. Drew's first book that he did was a horror book. So we love the horror genre and old EC comics and, Twilight Zone, Tales from the Crypt, all that fun stuff.
See, I've got I have Twilight Zone, Tales of the Unexpected down on my little list of where the influences are. Got a couple more to throw in there just to kind of give you a little bit of a peppering. Final Destination, perhaps.
Oh yeah, a movie.
Yeah, well,
A movie.
There's a key part to the story, in that I'm thinking, he's trying to get away from something, and I'm thinking that's the influences are nice. They're like the little ingredients that go to the pot. It's fine.
Just a twisted, messed up, bubbling brew of.
Obviously, you've seen my cooking. That's great. Cool. Drew,
maybe you can talk about a little bit of the process then, how the feeding came to life.
So yeah, the feeding was really the result of a really horrendous nightmare I had, where a lot of the key elements of it were in the original nightmare. And when I woke up, I in a mad dash just scribbled down what I could remember from it. If you ever look at the notes from that initial mad dash, it's just the ravings of a madman. Sorry, I unfortunately have a coworker that has walked in.
That's all right.
But
cool. Hi, Mr. or Miss Coworker.
It's a missus for sure. but it is, it was just the ravings of a madman. But initially we had come up with there was a longer version of this, and then when David came on board, he really kind of stripped it down to its key elements and made it, really lean and mean as far as story needs to be. And it morphed from there. And we're both horror hounds, but we both kind of have our respective sections of horror that we're big fans of. And
Okay.
it's really interesting when you look at the project how much our influences from different areas of the genre are kind of mixing and matching in this story.
So I've got to ask the question now. I've got you've opened the door. I've got to go through that. Different horror genres of horror. Go on. How different? Is someone a slasher fan? Someone a psychological fan? David?
Well, I mean, I love kind of it all. I love creature features. I love monsters. I love the bloody, gory, like Saw and Hostel. I love that. I love the psychological. So I'm a big fan of Twilight Zone. Sort of that twisty, weird. It's not graphic, but it's just like terrible things happening to people.
Stuff.
For this one in particular, I would say that Drew probably brought more of the sensibility of the body horror and the brutality into it. I was more focused on you can see, right, when you open when folks gonna get to the back of the campaign and they get their copy, you'll see that right on the inside there's a quote, our Twilight Zone quote. So that's sort of that weirdness and that twist is sort of what drove the story for me. I was channeling Twilight Zone so much when trying to figure out exactly how this
played out.
Unfolds. Yeah.
Cool. Drew.
Yeah.
So David likes it all. He has his favorite little bit. You said you like specifics, so tell me what's your horror?
I'm a big Aliens and the Thing guy. For me, the major influence for a lot of this was Lovecraft, though, and that kind of the idea of the abyss and that really cosmic horror end of things. And I think that comes through in what the end result of the story is. That there's a large element of of the abyss as like a metaphorical element in it, but that kind of that impending sense of doom is something that I really wanted to explore. And for me personally, my sensibilities are all over the map. I'm a big creature feature and Lovecraft guy, but I'm also a big found footage fan, which as trashy as it can be, I enjoy quite a bit.
Well, we're going to get onto some found footage later on for sure. You kind of mentioned there's kind of a cosmic thing. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be absolutely honest. I didn't get a cosmic sense. I got a very personal sense of personal horror in the book, and I think how that works is how well the setup is put together. So many times, especially in some big two books, the setup is much better than the punchline, right? This is not this. The feeding, the punchline is on par with the setup.
Oh,
and
thank you.
The twist the twist in the middle that gets you. It's kind of like trying to watch an episode of Doctor Who fast forwarded, and things just kind of where? Where?
Well, I love the idea that you can write a story that folks can read and then go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And go back and read it again and think, okay, maybe we have an unreliable narrator here. Maybe things are going on that we're not being told. And, maybe this isn't exactly the way things had unfolded. And we've heard that a couple times now. And I think that's such a wonderful testament to particularly the art from Drew, just telling the story in a way that is totally convincing both ways, in sort of any way you want to read it. Convincing the first read through and you're like, oh my God, this guy, what's going to happen? And then the second read through, you're like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
maybe he's not the same person we thought he was. So yeah, I mean, I'm thrilled to hear that. And the cosmic part of it, I mean, it's not like, I think the wonderful thing about Lovecraft is that it's about the abyss. It's like the abyss can be the physical thing
Yeah.
you look into, or it can be just like the unknown horror that's out there. And
Yeah.
this painting, that's the feeding, that's, you know, a hunter, it's a predator, but also, where did it come from? Why did it latch on to Nolan? Like, what are all these questions? And I think that's the Lovecraftian sense of it that Drew has put together.
I think I agree. It wasn't meant as a massive slate by any means. You know,
Sure.
as a long-time comic book reader, when I open up that first page, and what you're relying on is to buy into that world straight away.
Yeah.
So that what David and Drew, what you show on the page is what I expect to see, and that's how you lead me to where I want to go. And I think, because you do such a great job with the lead character in the book, both
that first page, man.
Yeah, both scripturally and visually. Because I mean, the visuals, they're not. And again, I'm going to say this word, and people will think, Johnny, you're dissing them. I'm absolutely, totally not dissing it at all. There are bits where it's absolutely inconsistent, and I love that because that shows the frame of mind the character's going through. So you have to be So you have to be inconsistent with how you look at it, instead of being just like focused on this one element. There's all these other things going on. So
go ahead, Drew.
It's the kind of thing that's like, it's really hard to do something like that in comics, and I mean, I don't take that as a diss at all. I think that's actually a great compliment, because you look at something like something like Fight Club, where, you know, the idea of the unreliable narrator, I think those visual cues are actually a little easier sometimes to get across in a movie or something, or, you know, another medium. In comics, because we only have so many panels and so much realty space to really work with, you have to be super consistent in how you're laying this out, and that goes back to, you know, tight script, everything being stripped down to being only the things we need, but at the same time directing what the visuals would be in order to, you know, relay that to the reader.
Cool.
Yeah, because there's, I mean, I'll spoil it. The first two pages. The first page sets up Nolan as a complete kind of douche. That's a great word for it. He's a douchebag. So, and
he was designed to be.
Did that, and but you know, that whole first page, that whole first sequence, that the dialogue and everything is created to make you feel, you may hate Nolan in that first page, but also it's an utter sense of him being in complete control of his life, his surroundings, his relationships, everything. He is the king. And then you turn the page, and Drew made the choice. And I you know, I'll tell everybody, I don't mind spoiling this. You turn the page, and he's in a club, and all the people are dancing, and he's literally, he's front and center. It's a full page spread, and he's upside down. And you're like, hold on a second. So this guy, who we just learned was in complete control of everything in his life, to the point that he's a total douchebag, and you turn the page and you realize he actually may not be in control of anything, including reality. So it's just such a cool, it's such a, when we stumbled on that in the script, creating this character and then pushing him off kilter right away was kind of, oh, I'm sorry, it's 4 pages. It's 3 pages for
to set him up.
There you go.
And then the 4th page is him being completely off center. And this is, I think, I don't know, as a reader, this would be the moment when I would be like, well, I don't like him, but also I want to know more about what's happening with him. Is he not the person we thought he is? What's going on in his life? And so it's you know, every moment. 32 pages is not a lot of landing strip, so you have to be like tight and spot on with everything. And I throw these pages at Drew, and I'm like, figure it out.
What I find interesting about the whole dynamic is it's Drew's nightmare that David you're trying to write, and then Drew's trying to draw. I'm like, Drew, how you must really trust David to get down your thoughts and fears from this nightmare that you've had.
It's always interesting because it's even Cantor went through the same kind of process that this went through, where it's almost like we're playing a game of telephone with each other, and it's rather than it being a matter of trust, which there is that in this relationship, there has to be, but it's also a bit of excitement to see how he interprets what I give him sometimes. So like in the case of this, there was an outline, and then it's like, okay, this is as far as I've gotten. How does he mishmash it and mishmash it and then throw it completely out the window?
No.
It's exciting to see how, where his sensibilities are much more refined as a writer than mine, can ever be at the moment. He brings elements to it that I wouldn't even think to do. And that's kind of where you get like the exciting stuff in the story. And then there are elements I never would have thought to put in that he brings to it. And that's kind of, like I said, it's a game of telephone.
So it's like nuance. We're talking about nuances here. Because if Drew's got like the basic outline, David, you're coming in and just sort of like, it sounds cliche, and I'm sorry for this one, but it's like you're crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and adding a few little bits in there just to give it a more well-rounded storytelling.
I actually think it's actually more than that, Johnny. So I do a lot of adaptations. So I'll read a story, a comic, a book, that kind of thing. And I'll see such a clear vision of what it can be in its next life, and it's the next medium that it's gonna. So when Drew came with this idea and this outline, I knew he wanted to do the 32-page one shot. So as soon as he gave me the idea, I'm like, this is the idea. I love the high concept about a painting that is like eats people. That's it. I mean, that's the pitch. This guy's haunted all his life by a painting that eats people. It's shown back up and it's hungry again. And so I love that concept. And then finding the best story to bring that concept to life. And it was there. I mean, the skeleton of it was there, and putting the flesh on it and sort of stripping away and really getting down to the meat of what this story could be. That was fun. That was fun. I just sat down. I was like, okay, this is the concept. This is where I think it should go. This is how we can care about this guy, even though he's an awful person. This is how we can push everybody, blow everybody's hair back at the end, right?
Yeah, I think that if I misspoke, I apologize. But I think the kind of, as I said earlier, the build-up of the character, I didn't have any, because the character goes through a journey. Automatically, you hate the guy because he's a bit of a douche, as we've mentioned. But then he's got a backstory, and then you think, oh, that's why that's like that. And then everything else happens around it. So you're playing with the reader's expectations as you're going through.
Yeah.
So you hit the key beats of Drew's nightmare to make sure that there's this, and this.
This is where like the whole collaboration really comes in, because initially, even in the skeleton, there was nothing about his childhood. There was nothing about, anything beyond his immediate, directly what's in front of his nose. And that's really where, when I hand stuff like this off to David, he comes in and crafts a story around it in a way that makes it work, so much better than the kind of jumbled, rantings that I sometimes do. And the funny part is that that's kind of, I would say it's really similar to how Canto kind of came about too, where there was a 3-4 sentence outline, and David really took it and blew it out to become what it is now.
Mhm.
And what's fun about doing this stuff is that regardless of the genre, it really is just an effort of just pure collaboration
Mm.
between the two of us. And it sometimes can get, I think, a little muddy to remember who came up with what exactly sometimes.
Yeah.
But it I think readership really gets a sense that we're invested in creating something together when they read it, and that's part of what gets people excited.
Perfect. Well, I'm not going to cast I'm not going to cast names. I'm not cast stones. I'm not saying which one of you is Stanley and which one's Jack Kirby. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not touching that one.
Can we both be Kirby?
Yeah,
What?
exactly.
What's wrong with being Stanley?
I mean,
I
well,
mean,
David, you want to just smoke cigars all day? There we go.
Yeah, just sit back.
Hey, true
Smoke
believers. All right.
Yeah, but one of the so
Go on.
you mentioned the parts in the story where you see some of the backstory of his childhood,
Mhm.
and you're like, maybe he's not such a bad guy. That definitely came from. I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts, and one of the things that they talk about a lot is you can hate the adult who's
Mhm.
done terrible things while also feeling bad for the child
Yeah.
who had terrible things done to them that might have led to that point, because the adult always makes the choices ultimately,
Mm.
but you
Okay.
can feel bad. And so it's like a way to look at like origin stories for and backgrounds of like serial killers and stuff, and terrible stuff happens to these people when they're young, and you can feel bad for the kid while not
Yeah.
forgiving the adult. And
Yeah.
that's sort of, I wanted to kind of play with that
Mhm.
idea that we can have sympathy and scorn sort of existing together in one brain, your brain. It can coexist um, about a person,
Yeah.
and you can be okay without losing your mind.
I'm all right with that. I'm all right with that. Because, I mean, I'm a Dolphins fan, as I said at the start of the show. I love the Dolphins. Hated us on Sunday. Well, to be fair, I hated the refs more than I hated the Dolphins, but that's different.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a different podcast. I'm not saying anything else about that one. Right, time for a break for one of our other shows. Where shall we go? I'll tell you what, we'll go a little bit left field on this one. It's been off for a month, but it's back. This month, October, you're getting a Halloween special. Freyra's Batgirl. What more would you want from K-Pop Cosmos? Check it out. There you have it. The fantastic K-Pop Cosmos with Freyra and Mike Mark. If you like everything that's K-pop, check it out. They are, as I said, back this month. We're going to have a quick look at, if we can, you're on Zoop as your crowdfunder, correct?
Yes.
Zoop.
Yep.
Zoop.
Zoop.
I'm going to ask because I mean I do see Zoop infrequently. I normally get Kickstarters. Why Zoop and not Kickstarter? Just as a curiosity.
Zoop is focused entirely on comics. We know the guys who founded it, and also Zoop. The two big benefits for us is Drew and I are very busy with things, and so Zoop, just like work-wise, and Kickstarter is such a heavy lift because
Yeah.
Kickstarter gives you the platform, but really nothing else.
Yeah.
Zoop has supported everything every step of the way. So we have folks who are helping us with everything from setup to printing, fulfillment, all that stuff.
Cool.
And then Zoop also creates a platform that's more of a pre-order platform. So what I'll say about this is Zoop, we have 3 variants that are available on Zoop. We have the A cover, which is limited to 500 copies, the foil, which is limited to 150, and a black and white, which is limited to, and it's a whole issue that's black and white to showcase Drew's art, that's limited to 100. And so this is an opportunity for folks to get these variants that will have this special cover and the Zoop logo on it. And once the Zoop campaign is done, these are all going in the vault. You're never going to see this cover. You're never going to see these variants again. Even if, as we believe, this is just the start of the life cycle of the feeding of this story, which I think is going to go in a lot of different directions from here. So Zoop is a great way to do that, where it's not just like, let us crowdfund to raise money to make this book. We hit our goal on day one. So really, it's now an opportunity for folks to get on board at the beginning of the life of this horror story, and have these great variants so that they can hold on to them when it becomes $1 billion IP franchise.
So let me just, in case people can't see that, currently you have raised or been pledged $6,620 against a target of 3,000. Is that right?
Yeah.
Have I read that right? So fully funded to the max.
Fully funded to the max, and we are targeting $10,000 by the end of the campaign, because we have a stretch goal at 10,000, which is every single backer gets a double-signed Canto Ashcan preview that's serialized, so each one has an individual number. They were limited to 500. This was something we did for San Diego Comic-Con this year. Every backer is going to get a free double-signed copy of that Canto Ashcan. It's the only Canto we've ever published that doesn't have a publisher, because we had not announced Dark Horse yet, but we were gone from IDW. So we're trying to push to get to that 10,000 so that every single backer gets this wonderful copy of this Ashcan that's not going to be around for a whole lot longer.
I heard recently that the CC in San Diego Comic Con, or it's SDCC, is to them as New York, COVID Central. Is that the case?
Well, I am body built by COVID, so I apparently don't get it anymore. So, but I do know a number of people that picked it up.
Oh, bless.
I feel like everywhere is COVID central at this point. So every gathering of more than about 3 people, you're rolling dice. But I did get the booster, so I feel mostly invincible at this point.
Mostly invincible. Yeah. It's like, damn it, kryptonite. I almost got away with it too, if it wasn't for that bloody kryptonite. I was at a comedy gig at the weekend, and there's about 1,400 people there. And my wife looked at me, and I looked at her. She goes, "Yeah, people are gonna get out." I was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry about that."
Where do you live?
I live in a little town called Redcar, or Redcar, as we call it up here. And it's on the northeast coast of the UK. So there you go.
Wow! I was just we were just spent 11 days in Ireland.
Oh, so it's like, Ireland's like the other side of the country, like that way. But it's like practically a straight line. Yeah, from my right to there.
That's great.
Yeah, we're a land bridge. Right. So we'll put feeding to one side for 2 seconds. You mentioned Canto. Canto, massive hit. You're changing publishers. You're moving over to Dark Horse. This is like Magnum going from CBS to ABC. I like Magnum. Can I say? Yeah, it's the car. Everyone loves the car. Let me ask you quickly about Canto before we get into the publishing side. How different is it writing kind of like a fairy tale-esque story in Canto when you then at the other side you're flipping horror tales about killer paintings? I mean, we
handle the swing well.
I was going to say, I kind of think fairy tales and nightmares are kind of separated by the
fairy tales. Yes, fairy tales have been dark for centuries. They've been so dark. We've only just shined them up since about 1923 with the founding of a particular studio.
Well, I tell a story at work. I use Little Red Riding Hood as a means to do something, to tell about how you should talk about the importance of interview questions, right? And every time I say Red Hood, I say, how's it end? It's like she dies. That's it. She gets eaten by the wolf. Nobody saves her. She gets eaten. That's it. The end. Like the original horror story. Stick with that. Sorry, I interjected.
Lesson: don't visit your grandparents.
Yeah,
For real.
Especially if they've got big teeth.
So the Switch, I mean, like we said, we're big horror fans. So the Switch isn't hard. It's the focus is always on telling the best story possible.
Mhm.
So whether that's a horror story, big sci-fi, or drama, or the all ages fantasy, it's just finding who the character is and following that story and just telling the best version you can. And it's so simple, Johnny. It's just like just come just like that. Just
Well,
a
not
piece of
everybody's as
cake.
talented as you, Addy. You know what I'm saying?
It's so hard.
Oh man, I'm pounding the keyboard every day. Like the character on Sesame Street. Why can't I get it right? No.
If it makes you feel better, if it's easy for him, it was extraordinarily difficult for me.
See?
No, I'm just being sarcastic. It's I say it flippantly because it's so easy to say and tell the best story possible regardless of genre.
Mhm.
And it's so hard to do. So I just write the stories I'm passionate about. I was so passionate about Kanto and working with Drew and really getting that off the ground. That's really what shines through, I think, and what has pushed us so far with that story. And the feeding is the same way. As soon as Drew told me about gave me a peek into the abyss that is his brain, I was like, yes, let's do this. Let's go.
I can imagine the photo. Like, dude, I had some bad pizza last night, and this is what happened.
Oh no, I told him this over a meal, and he was like, "Aha."
We had another idea, and I can't even remember what the idea was. And then Drew's like, "Well, I have this nightmare." It's like, we're doing that one. That's the one we're doing. That's it. And that's the way it happens sometimes. You just it's just like a flash, and you're just like, this is it. This is same with Kanto. He sent me the initial character design for Kanto that he had. I found out you had in a drawer since when?
2012.
2012. And it came into my inbox in like 2017. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, I don't know who this character is. I don't know what his name is. I don't know what the story is. But all I know is that we are absolutely telling it. And I just connected so strongly with that single visual. I was like, this is it. And we went with it. And it was just passion that really pushed us. The success that Kanto has experienced is it had its origin. Like the seed of it was just our passion for telling this fantasy story that we still will tell. We'll be 10 years from now. We're going to be still freaking telling this story because we love it so much.
There's a question to be asked, and I'm going to ask the question. And if I have to edit this out, then I'll edit it out. Let me just make a mark so I know what it is. Why the publishing change? Are you allowed to say?
That's easy. Yeah. Because Drew and I are splitting up.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding.
I thought you just met you. It's like, oh my God.
This is a divorced parent situation. I'll live with mom during the week, and then he'll live with dad during the week, and then we'll swap on the weekends.
Yeah. I feel sorry for whoever gets the pay.
No, so the publishing switch came because the deal we had signed with IDW, Drew has left the building.
Yeah.
He's back.
I'm back. Sorry. Sorry.
All right. So the publishing change. Really was just based on the structure of our deal at IDW. It was a license that was finite, and it was coming to the end of its life cycle. And we, talked about it, and we decided that it was a mutual decision that we had, run the life cycle with Kanto at IDW, and we'd talked to some other folks, and we both had been working with Dark Horse on other projects, and our editor Spencer Cushing and Connor Knudsen both sort of did a backflip, and we were like, Kanto's available, is there an opportunity at Dark Horse? And they said absolutely yes. We said Well, we want hardcover reprints of everything that's out there so that we can push into schools and libraries and really build that reader base that's, the younger set and families and bring them in. And we want new material. We want to finish the Shrouded Man saga that's a total of 5 volumes. We want more coming down. We want all this. And they looked at us and like,
okay,
sure.
Whatever you guys say,
Sure. And so we were, and it's been nothing but fantastic support. We were already well in the midst of new material. They're putting together the hardcovers that were just announced. So those are available for pre-order right now.
cool.
And they're going to be, I encourage everybody to go to your indie bookstore and tell them you want to pre-order Canto, the hardcovers.
Cool.
Those will be out in June and July. And
Yep.
I don't know if it's going to be like breaking news, but there's going to be more hardcovers coming.
Well,
this is just the first couple.
As it gets closer, come back on the show and we'll talk some more about it. Let's do that.
I mean, I would love to have a physical copy.
Yeah.
I was going to say IDW. That I'm a fan of comic books. And I review for Crusaders, so I get it from the cheap seats. IDW for me are kind of I see them trying to branch away from their licensed products such as Star Trek and stuff like that. They are trying to put out some more original material out there. And I think Dark Horse has shown how successful you can transfer from licensed products. When they started, it was all Aliens and Predators, The Mask, before moving on to the more original stuff like Concrete and all those sort of things. So it seems like a natural progression.
The Mask was a creator
first.
book.
I realized that as soon as I said it, I was like, Machine. You got
but
that
that's where I think Cantor can be creator owned, but then we get a movie, and then it suddenly becomes a license, like a licensed book. So
cool.
What's exciting about Dark Horse too is that we're being given kind of an opportunity that rarely comes along with this stuff, where we're getting to relaunch the book. So any sort of so much of this is us figuring it out as we go, that we're getting to come in and have like a second shot with it. So we're getting to bring all of the design stuff that we may have liked to have had the first time around, or anything that we know could have maybe worked a little bit better. We're having a chance to really sharpen those corners and make sure that it's the best product that we can put out. And that's what's been really fun with this.
So you get a chance to quantum leap it, basically, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
Hopefully get it right, or we're going to be doing it again. We're going to be doing this all over again. Boom.
Hopefully the next jump is the jump home.
Oh dear me. Right, excellent.
Not if you want a second season, Drew.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. I'm never getting home. I'm just going to be jumping to the end of time.
Right, I'm trying to find. I've got something to show you. So I was kind of key to show this to you because you mentioned about where is it? I've got too many windows open. That's my problem. Not that one. Where is it? There it is. Right. You know how you mentioned you're into you've looked at real life stories and the means to kind of how you. I'm back on the feed here. How you've managed to juxtaposition kind of like the early days of true crime that you can dig the kid, but you don't like the guy.
Yeah, I feel bad for the kid, but not for the adult. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys are aware of this. We talked about it right at the start. We talked about influences, and I've mentioned Final Destination. You guys have mentioned Twilight Zone and Tales of the Unexpected. I'm not sure if you guys have seen this. This is my part and thought for you guys. I've taken this off the Wikipedia page, and this is genuinely true. Well, this article is based
cursed
on
painting.
Yeah, absolutely right. In the 80s, there was a spate of fires in the UK, and the only thing that would survive was a picture of a crying baby. And this set.
I've never heard of this.
And this
I haven't either, but I just pulled up the Wikipedia page right now.
And this set off a national newspaper. The story ran for a couple of years, and the paper got people so riled up about it, they were burning pictures of crying babies, crying little boys like this, because they thought that this was the thing that was causing the fires. Now, whether I know this because I lived this. I lived this story. You know,
Aren't aren't humans grand that they're like, this
Yeah.
painting is causing fires, so let's set this painting on fire.
Let's set it on fire.
So then, what got me when I was reading your book? Obviously, I thought of this straight away because this is my lifetime. This is what I've lived through. This we had a crying boy picture in a flat, which we left when we moved out. I hasten to add.
Well, I
So-
think there's a move. First of all, there's a movie here, but there's a movie here with
Yes.
the feeding. I mean, there's just a horror movie. Drew's got some great visuals in his brain about from being an EMT in New York, in the Bronx, and sort of the places that he's gone. That this painting would be just a perfect, revelation to be in these broken down places.
So I just thought, you know what? I'll show you this because I thought it was an absolute, I saw
That's
when I read
great.
your book, I saw the reference out straight away. It's an influence of unknown origin. But it's there, and I'm thinking to myself, dear me, it just brought it all back to me. So this book, your book, The Feeding, has more relevance and resonance with me than you may expect it to have. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great book, and I loved it cover to cover. I thought it was brilliant.
Would you freak out if a crying boy painting showed up at your doorstep?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would. Absolutely.
All right, noted.
Yeah.
I
Because
think I know what my holiday card is going to be.
Yeah. Woo! If he's wearing the Dolphins jersey.
No, we'll put whoever the Dolphins are playing on Sunday, we'll put that jersey on him. It'll be like you can use it against your enemies.
Oh yeah, I'll do that. Yeah. So I hate the Pats, the Jets, and the Bills. I mean, I hate the Bills.
I grew up in Cleveland, so nobody hates the Browns.
Interesting fact: Redcar, the town I live in, the county is known as Cleveland. It's Redcar and Cleveland Council. There you go.
There you go. Perfect.
Go Browns!
Nobody hates the Browns because nobody cares about the Browns.
Well, I wasn't keen to sign Deshaun Watson, but that's a different metal thing altogether. Drew, what were you saying? Were you going to say you're a Bills fan back there?
I'm a Jets fan, mostly because I'm a glutton for punishment.
Yeah, well, yeah. Some people have strange fetishes. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, I got to win. We got to win 2 games. So as far as I'm concerned, we're Super Bowl champs.
Yeah.
The rest of the
all you
season
had
will
to
be
do
was
didn't you have to sacrifice your expensive quarterback at the altar of the football gods?
when it happened, I just sat there and went, "This is the most Jets thing I've ever seen in my life."
I thought exactly the same. 4 players in. I will say this about the Jets. My wife loves Fireman Ed. She loves him.
Oh, he's great. He's great.
Because I play Maddens a lot, and
Okay.
I was playing the Jets, and they're like, "What's the chanting?" I was like, "Oh, it's Fireman Ed." She goes, "What's this?" So I had to show her on YouTube who Fireman Ed is. And it gets everyone all riled up. Good. I'm like, "Oh,
he's great."
Yeah. So, what can I say?
I still have this Wikipedia page up on my other monitor that's above my head, and this boy is just
Giving you the eyes.
He's slowly stealing my soul. Yeah.
He's looking at all the books behind you, thinking they'll burn.
Paper. Look how much paper.
Kindling.
Yeah, very much. Right. Information. Let's check it out. If you want to keep up to date with everything that David's up to on Instagram, you can just pop it in there. Dead simple. Dead easy to find. Drew's also on Insta. There it is. What more could you want? Interested in the pack and getting involved in the project? There you go. Head over to Zoop, type in the feed in. You know how it works. It'll take you to the page. And there you go. See?
I'm just showing you the reflection right there.
Oh, yeah.
There's your crying boy right there.
Your crying boy.
The crying boy.
Stealing your soul now, too.
Oh. Let me just close that window down. Gentlemen,
any ideas?
It's been an absolute blast having you on the show. Give me your 60-second pitch on why people should get involved and back the project. We'll go with David first, then Drew.
60 seconds. Well, if you like, it's spooky season. If you like throwback EC horror comics, Tales from the Crypt, we've got this bite-sized trick or treat candy, wonderful story for you. It's a one-shot. And if you back the Zoop now, that means you're going to get all these exclusives because the crying boy is going to take them away once this campaign is over. So beat the crying boy to the punch and back the campaign today.
I feel like I've started a trend. Drew,
Make the crying boy not cry.
Yeah. Dry those tears, little boy.
David stole a lot of what I had, but it's a project. It's a really great horror project. It's it's not a huge investment from readership to get involved with it. You're really just getting a really nice contained story and at the highest quality that we can perform at, and we hope that people will come along for the ride with us and let us kind of scare the shit out of them.
Well, that's fine. I'll give you my quick 60 seconds. I'm not a horror fan. I'm not a horror fan. I saw 10 recently, and I walked out because I thought, oh man, this is just awful. The first one is absolutely brilliant. Love the first one. Yes, it is. Love the first Hostel movie. Love that as well. So horror's not my thing. That said, I absolutely love this book. I thought it was brilliantly written, excellently paced. The colors were great. The art's fantastic, as I mentioned in the show. I like the consistent inconsistencies there that kind of sort of skew your eye level a little bit, which it should for the type of tone of story that you're going on. And world design on the letters did a fantastic job keeping everything running smoothly. It is an absolute exquisite book. Definitely. So well done, gentlemen. Very well done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's so kind.
That is the nicest compliment that you can pay us, because I think we're both big believers in that you can bring people to horror that are not horror fans by having a story that they connect with and that can draw them in, not just even if they're not well versed in the genre.
And it's really hard to do in comic books because there's no jump scares, there's no tone of music to set the mood. You are relying on the dialogue, the pace, the colors of the scheme. So the club looks, when you're in the nightclub, it's dark, it's dingy, it's and then when things change around,
it's dread.
Building
it's
that
like
sense
this
of
foreboding. That's
definitely
really what horror comics can do, because the gore is like, you're never gonna. People are so desensitized that artistic gore is never gonna do it. It's going to be dread that something bad is gonna happen, or something's gonna happen, and you don't know what. I just was reading another book. It's just a one shot, and it was so the dread was so palpable to it that by the end, I was like, holy smokes. And you don't even really realize that you're feeling it until the end, when you get that release valve and you're like, oh my God, I just actually was feeling something.
Cool. And this is why we all love comics, because they get us to do that. Fantastic.
Yes.
Gentlemen, it's been an absolute blast having you on the show. Thank you so much for spending the time. I really do appreciate it. You're coming up to the last week of your project, so I guess you're really, really busy. So I absolutely totally appreciate the time you've taken out to chat with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, anytime. And when Candle comes round, again, give me a shout and we'll definitely have you on the show to give it some promo.
Sounds great.
Excellent. Guys, that's it for another show. Don't forget to check out the UCPN for all your favorite shows. You saw the trailer for it earlier. It's K-pop Cosmos. Who could resist Freya in a Batgirl suit? If you want more that and more, check out TDC, the Comic Crusaders, for all your DC stuff. And for you Marvel fans, it is the No Prize Podcast, getting ready for the Marvels movie, which I may or may not see. You know what I'm like. I still haven't seen Loki season 1 yet, so that's how far behind the curve I am. Well, am I missing anything? I hope not. All right, gents, it's been an absolute blast. As I said, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I've been your host, Johnny Machine Hughes. And as always, adios.
Visit undercovercapes.com for the latest and greatest podcasts via the Undercover Capes Podcast Network. Also visit our parent company website, comiccrusaders.shop, all about comic pop culture.